everybody, welcome back to the channel, and this is a special scrapbook process video that I've got for you today because we are celebrating the 5-year YouTube-iversary of Meggy Blevin, or as you probably know her if you're in the scrapbook world, Crafty Meggy. So she challenged a whole bunch of YouTubers and Instagrammers to take one of her layouts and scrap lift it, and then we're all doing a big 5-year anniversary hop today, which is very exciting. So you saw at the beginning of the video the layout of hers that I was going to scrap lift, and what I'm doing right now is just doing the packaging technique with some shimmers, spray. The original layout that Meggy did was a white background. I chose to do it on this pink background because I was using, there it is again, I was using a homemade kit. So this was like a double challenge to, scrap lift her as best I could using only the products in my homemade kit that I made back in January. So I misted my pink paper with, I think it's called like Golden Day or Glorious Day. It's really pretty, and it still ended up looking really nice on that light pink. And then I needed to get some circles. Now my circle cutter, I have like a die cut machine and then a Creative Memories circle cutter. I wasn't able to get the circles as big as Meggy had. I just made them all the same size, and I said that's totally fine. I will work with it. So I'm matting the photo on some pattern paper. That was actually from a 6x6 paper pad. And I cut that little flower portion because I wanted to use it elsewhere through some fussy cutting, which you will see now. I pulled all the elements that I wanted to work with in advance, so that I kind of had an idea of where I wanted things to go, and that made it really easy to make this layout. I just kind of went through the items that I had in my kit and pulled some stuff that maybe sort of resembled what Meggy had used on her original layout. Like I have that tag that says the number 2 on it, and Meggy had a tag in hers as well. She also did some like what looked like packaging technique with misting spray, so that's why I added that as well. So having all of these elements in advance really made it easy, and don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me fussy cut this whole thing because it was rather tedious. I'm pretty sure at some point I put a pause on this video so that you don't have to watch me. And like, I have to say, I almost like cut my fingers off. Those little leaves were so tedious, and then like in the end I ended up cutting off that one side of the leaves. It was crazy, and those are the smallest scissors that I have at the moment. So anyway, but what I want to do with that is put it kind of at the corner of the photo so that it kind of looks like the flowers and the vines are kind of curling around the photo, and I'm going to create an embellishment cluster there as well. You don't see all of the embellishments yet because I'm so busy focused on all of this fussy cutting. I don't know if you guys do fussy cutting and you think like, what did I get myself into? But I was definitely having a moment like that right here. Okay, so it's all been cut out. Now I'm just trying to figure out placement, where I want this thing to go. I'm just going to look back at her sketch for some inspiration. Now here I'm pulling more of the embellishments that were from my kit. I think those flags are like old October afternoon, I want to say. And they're literally like flag stickers wrapped around toothpicks. But that's how they came in the kit. I remember like a long time ago, that kind of stuff was really, really popular, and that's how long I've had those in my stash. So I'm really glad that I was able to get them on this layout. And it kind of mimicked something that Meggy had on her layout as well. So I thought that worked out really well. And then I'm just kind of trying to add, figure out where the rest of my embellishments go. I haven't nailed anything down yet, but I like to just sort of play around with the pieces that I have. I had that was an old basic gray sticker, but because it sort of mimicked the circles that were already on the layout, I thought that might be kind of a nice element to add. And then I have just a bunch of paper because this was a relatively simple layout. There wasn't a whole lot of pattern paper. I backed the photo with some pattern paper. Those circles are made from pattern paper, but there's not like huge chunks of it. So I just grabbed a couple bits of scraps so that I could create little strips of paper at the bottom and the top of the layout, just like Maggie had. And I think some of that is just like cardstock that I got from Michael's, and then yeah, and there's a jump there. Sorry about that. But I didn't really want you to like watch me putting adhesive down a whole bunch. So some of that is cardstock from Michael's. Some of that is Echo Park. Some of it is, that unicorn paper. I can never remember who made the unicorn paper, but it's all just stuff that I had in my stash. I'm so glad that I was able to really like bust this kit and use it for some of my stuff. So what I am doing now is just adhering everything. I've figured out the placement of where I want it. I've also added some really cool sequins, not sequins, from Spiegel Mom Scraps. They are called Sparkly Effervescence, and they look like bubbles. And this picture is of my daughter playing with bubbles out on our deck, and I just love that it sort of captured the joy on her face. Playing with bubbles is her favorite thing ever. We did it all last summer, so I have tons of bubble pictures. So that sparkly effervescent stuff is really going to come in handy for all of those pictures. I'm probably going to use those on every bubble picture ever. So I'm also just using up some old October afternoon stickers and that little Humpty Dumpty tag. It really doesn't have anything to do with this photo, but I just kind of thought it was cute. The Humpty Dumpty looked really happy. My daughter was happy. So yeah, that's why I used it. And then there's I can't think of who makes it, but that was that little egg sticker. It says hippity hoppity. It's obviously Easter. This is not an Easter photo, but it looked happy-ish, like my daughter was like hopping around with the bubbles. So again, when I'm going through all of the stuff in my stash, it doesn't really have to like literally go with my photos. If I want to use something from my stash and just like use it up, I'm just gonna use it and answer questions later. So I'm just adhering everything down. Please follow along so that you can see what everybody else created on this 5-year YouTube-iversary hop. We'll have some of the links below. You can follow me on social media as well and see more of my scrapbooking and crafts and books. And definitely go visit Maggie. Follow her on social media so you can see all of her great work. Become a follower of her on YouTube. Help her get even more subscribers so she can go another 5 years, and maybe we'll be back for her 10-year YouTube-iversary. That's a hard word to say. So congrats, Maggie, for being around on YouTube for so long and inspiring all of us in the scrapbooking community with all of your amazing work. I actually had picked 3 possible layouts that I could scrap lift from her, and I decided to use the one that I used because I figured it would be the most challenging for me and sort of more outside my box, because I do tend to like lots of big pieces of patterned paper, that type of layering thing. Layouts like this I don't normally do all the time. So you saw that I'm using just a little bit of different adhesives, some scrapbook.com like glue adhesive for those flags, and then some techie glue for the small bits and pieces there. That's just because those stick on like squares, double-sided squares. They're just hard to use, and I didn't want them to show, so that's why I went with some different adhesive. All right, here's the sparkly effervescence. You can see it in the pack. Again, doing a lot of like jumps. I think I just hit like pause a bunch of times during this video, so I apologize if that's a bit jarring, but that's the sparkly effervescence, and it comes in different sizes. And I just love the way it's so like bubbly and pretty, and I used glue dots behind them. I don't know if there's a better way to adhere them, but I always use glue dots for my sequins, so I just did the same for that. These are translucent, but you can't really tell that the glue dot, like glue, is behind it, because when you push it down, it just gets flat. So yeah, I'm happy with the finished results. I'm just kind of like randomly putting a couple out there. I was running low on glue dots when I made this video, so that probably helped me limit how many I use. Sometimes I can go a little like sequin crazy, and I'm just like, I want it everywhere because it's so shiny and pretty. But limits are good. So here's the layout. You can see some close-ups in the photos to follow. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.